Imagine closing your eyes and stepping into a world untouched by time 700,000 years ago. The air is crisp with the scent of untamed forests, and the horizon stretches endlessly, painted in muted greens and grays. The ground beneath your feet is uneven, shaped by the slow march of glaciers and rivers, carving through primordial landscapes. You hear a distant roar, not of machines but of creatures far larger than anything we know today. Welcome to the Pleistocene, a world where survival was an art and knowledge was the lifeline of human clans. At first glance, life seems chaotic. Herds of massive herbivores thunder across open plains, predators lurk in shadowy thickets, and the elements are unpredictable, capable of destroying whole communities in a single night. Yet, amid this apparent disorder, early humans carved out existence with remarkable ingenuity. Unlike us, they had no written records, no digital archives, no books or libraries to preserve knowledge. Everything that ensured survival, hunting strategies, medicinal plants, the secrets of fire, had to be memorized, shared, and carefully passed from one generation to the next. How did they do it? How could knowledge survive without writing? The answer lies in the human brain itself, sharpened by millennia of adaptation. Memory was sacred. Every lesson, every cautionary tale, every clever trick was a treasure. Storytelling wasn't mere entertainment. It was instruction, preservation, and survival all rolled into one. Around flickering fires, elders would recount the paths of migrating herds, warn of hidden dangers in the forest, and describe the patterns of stars that guided seasonal movements. Each story was a living manual, encoded with the wisdom of countless ancestors. Step closer and notice the subtle cues that connected knowledge to life itself. Marks on stones, scratches on bone, and simple arrangements of sticks could signify traps, water sources, or safe passages. Even colors in the earth or the formation of clouds were observed meticulously, becoming part of a shared understanding of the environment. This world was both harsh and wondrous, demanding not only physical skill but also acute perception and memory. So, as we journey deeper into this forgotten era, ask yourself, what would it take to carry the sum of human knowledge without a single written word? What methods, what creativity, allowed early clans to thrive where danger lurked at every turn? This is not just history. It's a window into the resilience, intelligence, and imagination of our earliest ancestors. And it all begins with the unbroken chain of memory that linked generations across time. Before we move forward, if this glimpse into a world so distant and raw fascinates you, leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you imagine it was like to sit by that fire, listening to the first lessons of survival? Step into the world of early humans, and you quickly realize that life was never solitary. Clans, small yet tightly knit, were the foundation of survival. Each individual had a role, carefully intertwined with others, creating a network of cooperation that was crucial in a world dominated by unpredictability and danger. Children learned by observation, mimicking the elders as they hunted, gathered, and navigated the landscape. Every action was a lesson, every gesture a piece of knowledge passed down through generations. Daily life revolved around the essentials: food, safety, and the maintenance of tools. Gathering edible plants demanded an intimate understanding of the seasons and terrain, while hunting required coordination, patience, and a keen sense of timing. The success of a hunt wasn't measured in trophies but in sustenance, the meat that would feed a family, the fat that would keep them warm. Even mundane tasks like preparing hides for clothing or repairing shelters carried layers of complexity, knowledge embedded in repeated practice and careful attention to detail. But it wasn't only about survival. Clans were centers of learning, creativity, and subtle negotiation. Elders held authority not through force, but through wisdom. Those who remembered the paths, the behavior of prey, and the hidden dangers were revered. Disputes were solved with negotiation, guided by shared norms and the understanding that the cohesion of the group was vital for everyone's survival. Every member of the clan contributed to a living memory bank. Stories, songs, and gestures became a language of survival. The youngest members absorbed lessons without textbooks, relying on repetition, imitation, and direct engagement with the environment. This continuous feedback loop between experience and instruction ensured that knowledge was not only preserved but adapted to changing conditions. As we observe the daily rhythms of these early humans, we begin to understand the delicate balance they maintained. Their world was unpredictable, yet within the clan's structure, order emerged. Cooperation became the ultimate tool for survival, and in this early form of social organization, the roots of human civilization quietly took hold. Imagine a night draped in darkness, the stars scattered like fragile sparks across the sky. The wind carries the low growls of distant predators, and the forest is a shadowed labyrinth of shapes and sounds. In this precarious world, a small flicker of orange light pierces the gloom. It is fire, the first companion of humanity, transforming fear into mastery, cold into warmth, and raw survival into something more. The discovery of fire was not a single moment but a series of revelations, each building on curiosity and observation. Lightning-struck trees, volcanic eruptions, and friction between dry wood offered glimpses of a phenomenon both beautiful and dangerous. Early humans learned to harness it, controlling its flames and keeping it alive. Fire became the centerpiece of the clan, radiating not only heat, but a sense of community, focus, and safety. Around its glow, lessons were shared, strategies devised, and stories told. Fire reshaped the human experience in countless ways. It expanded the diet, allowing raw meats to be cooked, unlocking flavors, nutrition, and digestibility that raw food alone could not provide. It extended waking hours beyond daylight, permitting planning, teaching, and social interaction at night. And most critically, it was a shield against predators, a tool that turned fear into confidence. Those who could manage fire wielded power, not over other humans, but over their environment itself. Yet mastery of fire required knowledge, patience, and ritual. It was not merely a matter of striking sparks. Maintaining a flame demanded careful attention to fuel, wind, and timing. Sharing this knowledge became vital. Elders would demonstrate the delicate art of reigniting embers, teaching younger members the subtleties that ensured survival. Each spark carried with it a lesson, a story, a fragment of ancestral wisdom preserved in the glow of dancing flames. In this world, fire was more than warmth or cooking. It was the foundation of civilization. It was both teacher and protector, shaping the rhythms of life, strengthening bonds within the clan, and giving humanity a decisive edge in a world full of giants and dangers. Picture a quiet evening in a Pleistocene encampment, the flickering fire casting shadows that dance on the faces of attentive listeners. Here, knowledge was not etched into stone or written on paper. It lived in the voice of the storyteller, carried on the rhythm of chants, and hidden within tales of hunts, seasons, and survival. Oral traditions were the lifeblood of early clans, the fragile yet powerful thread connecting generations. These stories were far from entertainment. Each contained precise lessons. A tale about a failed hunt could teach strategy, patience, and the dangers of misjudging prey. Songs could preserve the locations of water, sources, or safe passage through treacherous terrain. Every narrative was a complex code, intertwining memory, observation, and experience, ensuring that critical knowledge survived in a world where forgetfulness could mean death. The act of storytelling itself was sacred. Elders were not only narrators, but living libraries, tasked with encoding the wisdom of the clan in forms that could be easily remembered and transmitted. Repetition, rhythm, and the use of metaphor reinforced memory. Children learned not just by listening, but by participating, repeating phrases, mimicking gestures, and even reenacting hunts. In this way, knowledge became a shared living experience, inseparable from the community itself. Even subtle cues were incorporated into oral traditions. Sounds in nature, the behavior of animals, and the changing landscape were described in ways that sharpened attention and honed observational skills. These stories did more than preserve facts. They trained the mind, reinforcing connections between the clan and their environment, between the present and the past. The importance of oral tradition cannot be overstated. It was the invisible thread that bound survival, culture, and identity together. Today, when we look back at ancient practices, it becomes clear. Before written language, storytelling was humanity's most vital tool for preserving knowledge. Take a moment and imagine yourself by that fire. What stories would you want to carry forward? Share your thoughts in the comments below. How might our ancestors have used these tales to shape their world? In the shadowed corners of prehistoric landscapes, survival depended on more than fire or memory. It relied on tools, the extensions of human ingenuity. Every stone flake, sharpened bone, or wooden spear was more than a simple instrument. It was a repository of knowledge, carefully crafted through experience and observation. Each tool carried the legacy of countless hands that had honed, tested, and perfected it over generations. The process of making a tool was as significant as its function. Early humans observed the qualities of materials, hardness, shape, and durability, selecting rocks from riverbeds, bones from hunted prey, and wood from specific trees. Flakes were chipped with precision, edges sharpened to perform tasks that hands alone could not achieve. Even minor variations in technique reflected profound understanding. A certain angle might make a spearhead more effective. AI say a specific groove could improve a cutting edge, and subtle marks on a scraper could indicate its owner or purpose. These tools were also the carriers of instruction. A young clan member learning to hunt or process hides would study the wear patterns on a spear or knife, mimicking gestures until the technique was mastered. Tools were silent teachers, transmitting the accumulated wisdom of generations without uttering a single word. In a way, they were the first textbooks, durable, portable, and intimately linked to practical knowledge. Archaeological sites today reveal the complexity of these artifacts. Sites across Africa, Europe, and Asia display intricate sequences of tool-making that evolved over millennia. Each innovation represented not only technological advancement but also an evolution in thinking, problem-solving, and the ability to abstract concepts. These early humans weren't just surviving. They were inventing a world where knowledge could be encoded in matter itself. Every tool tells a story of trial and error, observation, and clever adaptation. As we hold them in our imagination, we see not just stone or bone, but the careful hands of ancestors shaping the future with every cut, strike, and polish. The secrets embedded in these tools were vital to the survival and advancement of early humans, whispering lessons that would echo across generations. Picture a vast plain stretching beneath an endless sky, herds of massive herbivores grazing in cautious clusters. For early humans, survival depended on understanding this living landscape, predicting animal behavior, and coordinating precise movements. Hunting was never a solitary act. It was a symphony of strategy, observation, and timing, where each member of the clan played a critical role. Successful hunts relied on a deep knowledge of the environment. Early humans observed migration patterns, animal instincts, and seasonal changes, learning to anticipate where prey would appear and how it would react to danger. This wasn't random. It was a complex interplay of experience, memory, and acute senses honed over generations. The clan moved with purpose, silently communicating with gestures, glances, and sometimes even primitive signals that allowed them to coordinate without startling their prey. The tools and weapons they wielded were extensions of their strategies. Spears, slings, and traps were deployed with careful planning, each adapted to the terrain and type of prey. Every tactic was tested in real time, adjusted, and shared so the entire clan could benefit from successful methods. Knowledge of these strategies was passed down orally, often embedded in stories or songs, ensuring that each new hunter could stand where their elders once stood, ready to execute time-tested techniques. Hunting was also a training ground for cognition. Planning a pursuit required foresight, patience, and collaboration. Mistakes could be fatal, so learning occurred under the constant pressure of the natural world. Young members of the clan observed, practiced, and internalized lessons that combined instinct, learned behavior, and environmental cues. In this way, hunting was not merely survival. It was an exercise in problem-solving, memory, and the collective intelligence of the group. Every successful hunt reinforced the clan's cohesion, knowledge, and confidence. The act of hunting was inseparable from teaching, memory, and culture, demonstrating how early humans navigated a world dominated by giants and danger. It was a delicate balance of strength, intellect, and trust, a testament to the ingenuity that allowed them to thrive where the weak could not endure. Step into a clearing at dusk, where shadows stretch long and the firelight dances across the faces of the clan. In this quiet moment, survival is only part of life. The other part is meaning, rituals, symbols, and expressions that bind the clan together and pass knowledge in ways words alone cannot. Early humans began to leave marks of identity, paintings on rock surfaces, patterns etched into bone, or intricate arrangements of stones and sticks. Each symbol carried significance, often connected to survival, spirituality, or social structure. Rituals were deeply intertwined with learning. Initiations, hunts, and communal gatherings were structured to teach essential skills while reinforcing belonging. Young members were initiated into complex practices that demonstrated their roles and responsibilities within the clan. These ceremonies were both practical and symbolic, embedding critical knowledge into the very rhythm of life. Firelight illuminated these performances, making each gesture, each mark, an unforgettable lesson, a coded message for the next generation. Even seemingly decorative elements had purpose. Paints made from minerals, marks on stones, and body adornments were not mere aesthetics. They signaled identity, conveyed messages, and preserved collective memory. A pattern on a spear or a color on a rock could indicate clan affiliation, achievements, or warnings. Symbols transformed everyday objects into carriers of knowledge, ensuring that even when words were forgotten, the meaning endured. These rituals and symbols also strengthened cohesion. They reminded the clan of shared experiences, connected the living to ancestors, and reinforced the values necessary for survival. Observation, participation, and repetition were crucial. Each act ensured that lessons were internalized and memories preserved. Reflect for a moment. Imagine standing among your ancestors, watching these intricate performances, feeling the weight of generations of knowledge encoded in paint, stone, and firelight. How would these rituals shape your understanding of identity and survival? Share your thoughts in the comments. How do you think early humans used symbols to guide and protect their world? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast landscape where mountains rise like guardians, rivers wind like serpents, and forests stretch endlessly. Early humans did not simply exist in these environments. They learned to read them, predict them, and in subtle ways shape their interactions with them. Survival depended on understanding terrain, climate, and the behavior of every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest predator. Clans developed strategies to exploit natural resources with precision. Water sources were carefully noted, shelter locations selected for protection against storms, and seasonal migration patterns studied to ensure sustenance. Knowledge of edible plants, medicinal herbs, and animals was accumulated and passed on with meticulous attention to detail. Every observation had meaning. Every discovery could save lives. This mastery of the environment extended to migration and adaptation. When climates shifted or resources dwindled, clans moved with purpose, guided by memory, instinct, and knowledge shared through generations. Travel routes were memorized, hazards anticipated, and safe havens marked with subtle signals, rocks, branches, or temporary shelters serving as silent guides. The landscape itself became a living classroom, teaching lessons through experience and careful attention. Even seemingly simple acts, such as building a temporary shelter or selecting a hunting ground, demonstrated an intimate understanding of the ecosystem. Early humans were acute observers, translating the rhythm of nature into strategies that ensured survival. They were engineers, planners, and ecologists, all at once, learning from the world and leaving traces of their ingenuity behind. This connection with the environment was more than survival. It was a dialogue. Every decision reflected an awareness of the balance between risk and reward, danger and opportunity. Through observation, adaptation, and careful planning, early humans not only survived, but thrived, mastering a world that was as beautiful as it was perilous. Step into the mind of early humans, where thought and memory began to intertwine in ways that would shape the destiny of our species. Survival demanded more than physical skill. It required planning, abstract thinking, and the ability to learn from both experience and observation. The human brain, already evolving, became a sophisticated tool for storing and transmitting knowledge across generations. Cognitive evolution was closely linked to communication. Language was not fully developed as we know it, yet gestures, vocalizations, and early symbolic forms allowed complex ideas to be shared. Memory was refined through repetition and storytelling, creating a living archive of survival strategies. Every hunt, every observation of nature, and every crafted tool reinforced neural pathways, strengthening the capacity to reason, innovate, and predict outcomes. The development of imagination and creativity marked a critical step. Early humans could envision scenarios, anticipate dangers, and solve problems before they arose. They experimented with materials, modified tools, and explored new techniques, demonstrating not only survival instinct, but cognitive flexibility. These abilities allowed clans to adapt rapidly to changing climates, new prey, and environmental challenges, giving them a decisive edge over competitors. Cognitive evolution also influenced social structure. Leadership, teaching, and cooperation were rooted in mental sophistication. Elders guided younger members with strategies encoded in stories and rituals, while observation and imitation ensured knowledge continuity. Memory became a shared resource, a collective intelligence that strengthened the clan as a whole. In this landscape, the human mind was both sculptor and historian, shaping reality while preserving its lessons. Each thought, observation, and innovation contributed to a growing repository of understanding, laying the foundation for culture, technology, and civilization itself. The cognitive revolution was silent, but profound, marking the turning point where humans began not only to survive, but to transform the world around them. As the fires die down and the echoes of ancient songs fade into the night, the true significance of these early human clans becomes clear. Their survival was not only a triumph of skill and strategy, but also a testament to the enduring power of knowledge and memory. Every story told, every tool crafted, and every ritual performed was a thread in the vast tapestry of human legacy, connecting the distant past to the world we inhabit today. The knowledge preserved by these clans shaped more than their immediate survival. It laid the foundation for culture, innovation, and collective wisdom. Techniques for hunting, understanding the environment, and mastering fire became lessons passed down, refined over generations. These early humans demonstrated that memory, observation, and cooperation are not merely tools for survival. They are the pillars of civilization itself. Reflecting on this legacy, we see that our own lives are entwined with the echoes of those who came before. The ways we share knowledge, collaborate, and innovate mirror the patterns established hundreds of thousands of years ago. In a sense, every act of teaching, storytelling, and creation today is a continuation of the practices honed by early clans, linking past, present, and future in an unbroken chain of human ingenuity. As we consider our connection to these ancestors, we are reminded of the importance of memory, community, and curiosity. They faced a world of immense challenges with nothing but their minds, hands, and collective wisdom. Their ingenuity ensured not only their survival, but also the survival of knowledge itself. And in understanding their story, we gain insight into the resilience and creativity that continue to define humanity. Take a moment to reflect on this lineage of knowledge. The echoes of the past are never far, and in honoring them, we preserve the poor. Lessons of survival, ingenuity, and shared wisdom that continue to shape our world.